Welcome, everyone, to another edition of Becoming Awesome, AWS's live stream podcast where Amazon insiders introduce you to the humans of AWS. I'm your host, Ray Thomas, a senior recruiter from AWS's infrastructure organization. And whether you're streaming live through the link and just lurking, or sign into your YouTube account or your Twitch account live and ready to engage with us and chat, or even watching the video later on demand. A good morning, a good afternoon, and a good evening. Today I'm actually solo, so I will be recapping, the AWS Summit from New York City a couple weeks ago, along with an Ask Me Anything. So this is going to be the Ask Me Anything is throughout from the beginning to the end. Stop me anytime you want with any questions. I'm really, really interested in learning about what you're interested in knowing more about. So, anything that's obviously any resources I could share, I will share. Anything that is confidential, obviously, I'll say can't share that. So be mindful of what you ask. So with that, let's see. Who do we have? I already see some comments here. What's up, Isaiah? Welcome, Isaiah, to the show. So let's see. One of the things I want to mention is to afterwards stay because we have another show called Serverless Land. And again, Serverless Land, magical place where engineers and architects can go to learn about building cost-effective, highly scalable serverless apps on AWS. So this is actually with Trevor Spires, who is one of our senior solutions architects here, and actually someone that has their own Twitch show, as I mentioned. Someone you definitely want to follow on LinkedIn. So great. So definitely, if you're interested in serverless, follow up. Now, this show, I want to make sure that I provide information not only about some of the information from the summit, but also give any kind of tips, insights about our interview process, recruiting process. Maybe you're preparing for an interview. Maybe you're interested in a certain type of role and you have no idea whether you are qualified for it. Definitely ask those type of questions, and I'll be happy to answer as much as I can. Okay. So let's see. One of the things that I do want to mention is Matt Wood. Matt Wood is someone I follow. I follow religiously on LinkedIn. He is our VP of AI over here at AWS, and this is someone that you definitely want to follow. Let me share some links because here's his LinkedIn. Let me copy it right into the chat. So I learned so much from Matt Wood. So Matt is someone that introduced me to really cool Gen AI apps that I've used in the past, including a video translator. I record a video in English, and I could then select, which language I wanted to dub my voice and actually move my lips, to look like I'm actually enunciating the words properly in that language. So I did it in Hindi, I did it in French, Spanish, you name it, and it was actually an interesting hit, and I got great feedback online. So Matt Wood is everything AI. You definitely want to, follow him. And let's see. So the other thing I want to mention is he was actually a LinkedIn top voice, keynote speaker at the AWS Summit here in New York City. Here's actually the link to the summit, to the video of it, which I think a lot of people may want to watch because of all the announcements, and some of the announcements that I'm talking about, during the recap is this. Let's see. They had launches for AWS App Studio, Amazon Q Apps, Amazon Q on SageMaker Studio, fine-tuning Anthropic's Claude 3, Amazon Q developer customization, code interpretation for agents, memory retention for agents, guardrails API, which I've seen a lot of people, buzzing about on some of the LinkedIn posts, contextual grounding checks, and expanded data connectors for knowledge bases. If you want to learn more about generative AI, let me share this with you as well. And I actually want to share my screen to talk about that, to show you some of the things that we're doing here. So let me remove this and actually share some of the links from the summit. Let's see, share my screen. And let's go here. So first off, everyone in chat, whoever's on right now, feel free to ask any questions at any time. It doesn't need to be related to what I'm actually talking about right here. but this is your time to ask any questions that piqued your interest around AWS, and whatever I can answer, I will. If it's resources, if anything, I'll try to point you in the right direction. But here's a link to the AWS Summit. You can watch the keynote, and here's pages for you to learn more. Dive deep into anything that may be interesting to you. So, like, click here, take you right here. Give you some code samples, gives you documentation as to how you should leverage it, and actually who is leveraging it right now. So you can see the case studies. So this is another great thing to take a look at. Um, the main page itself for generative AI, it'll give you an opportunity to look at the overview of some of the latest announcements, just like yesterday about Llama 3.1 models from Meta, now available on Amazon Bedrock and Amazon SageMaker. Anything that was announced here at Summit again, and tools, every different type of services that we have, and also training. So there's a lot of things and a lot of use cases that you want to dive into. So that's fantastic. I know a lot of people are interested in Gen AI, whether you're brand new to tech, just graduating from college, to people that are seasoned and they need to, modernize their infrastructure, and they want to do it with Gen AI and want to learn more about it. So you could also take a look at, our AWS training and certification programs as well. Let me copy that link here into the chat. This is another one. Okay, so it's so many. Whether you're an individual, whether you're an organization looking to train a full team, this is where you actually want to go. For those that are interested in, joining AWS or interested in opportunities here, we talk about. I get asked the question all the time about, do certifications matter? It does. It does to a point. A lot of times, people have been doing doing the job, and they're on the job, doing the work, etc. They could probably write the training themselves, and they don't have the certification. But what certifications demonstrate is that you have that learn and be curious. You actually dedicated time to go in and learn about that specific topic, without the noise. Actually, there's a lot of information, different ways, different features, etc. But we try to simplify it in a way that's really focusing on what's actually important and the best practices around it, and tying it to every other services. So you get the full picture, not just one thing. So getting certifications is very important. One insight that I want to share, if we're looking at your background and you're at an interview right now, and say there's something lacking in your skills, like, oh, well, they don't have this experience, and they're trying to figure out now, well, what does a ramp up look like? Can they ramp up? Can they learn that within the ramp up time, which is normally 3 months for most teams, right? It could be longer for others and shorter for others. But now this is where the learn and be curious aspect comes in. The data that we collected to see whether you're someone that demonstrated constantly proactively learning on your own, and upskilling yourself, and then maybe even finding opportunities to train your peers because it may be relevant to what they're doing as well, and upskilling others. That's going to demonstrate to us this is someone that we should take a chance on and actually bring on, because they have strong learn and be curious background, and we believe that they can ramp up in the time allotted. So that's another key thing that I want to share. So it's not about just now, but also what it demonstrates from a full picture when we're looking at your profile. So that's key. I get contacted by a lot of solution architects because of my background recruiting solution architects, and one of the things that I always share with them, one of the resources, is this is my architecture. This is my architecture. It was initially from with the partner team, and it has use cases. It has use cases with one of our SMEs here with a customer, and they dive into something very specific, something that they solve together. And if you watch the videos, these short videos, you can actually see a couple of things. Not only learn about the technology, how it worked in that environment, but also how they're communicating what they solved. When you look at solutions architects, one of their key skills that they need to have are the soft skills to be put in front of our customers, being able to articulate, their solution. They need to be able to have the soft skills to work backwards and really understand what the customer is looking for. What are the challenges that they're currently have, and what they need solved and why, right? And then peeling back the layers of the onion and actually getting as much information as possible. Then from the technical aspect, you know, looking at what's under the hood, taking a look at what their infrastructure currently looks like, how it's being used, how it's all set up, and then going to a drawing board and designing a solution from end to end with our services. After they do that, their role is actually to get in front of customers and demonstrate demo the architecture in front of both technical and non-technical stakeholders. Now, if you watch these videos, you'll get a sense of how to articulate your thoughts and understand what is too much information, what is too low level, what is too high level, what is just like the right amount to be able to have that back and forth conversation. So this has actually been incredibly helpful to a lot of folks that are interested in the SA world. So you could actually filter it by product category. Like I had supported the analytics team in the past, and there's 83 videos around analytics. Some are in manufacturing, dental restorations. So there's all different types of different industries that's used it, etc. Maybe you're interested in compute. So here you go. Again, everything related to compute and how it's being used with some of our customers, like DBS Bank, architecting quant pricing engine for performance with Amazon Elasticache. So, from whether you're a solutions architect or you're actually just a builder in general, and you're someone just purely technical, this is another great resource for you to take a look at. So, with that, again, if anyone has questions, feel free to ask any question. It doesn't need to be related to here. It could be related to anything about the process. It could be related to some tips and tricks during the interview, how to prepare, any resources. Feel free to type away. Don't be shy. Happy to answer any questions. Let's see. One of the other things that I wanted to share is also something we shared last week. Some of the best practices. Hey, Isaiah, this is excellent. Thanks, Ray. Yeah, my pleasure, Isaiah. So, again, Isaiah, if you have any questions, if you have more questions, feel free to ask. I know you asked a ton of fantastic questions that some people are too shy to ask. So feel free to ask for them. So here's another one. This is a white paper. Some of the best practices. Let's say that some of the SMEs have put together. There we go. And this is, oops. It's always fun when you have like 3 screens and you're trying to make things bigger. And it's funny, this was for best practices for security, for DDoS resiliency. One thing that you'll see about white papers, is they'll always start off with not just a simple high level, overview of what this will be about. The question is, are you well architected? And the AWS well architected framework. This is something that you should know if you're someone in tech, whether you are more of a developer, whether you're an architect, it doesn't matter. This is something that I think everyone needs to know overall, and this is only going to make you stronger. So whether, again, you're interested here or actually supporting the infrastructure at your organization and using AWS services, definitely look into AWS's well-architected framework. Okay. Now, let me pull this off the screen, and I want to share something else now. Stop the screen and go back to present mode. Let's see. So we talked about this. I want to share a little bit more about STAR. I want to share about the STAR method here. You know, a lot of people hear about the STAR method, but then they they don't know what level of details matter, how long they should actually be, you know, how long should the stories be. And this is the general overview as to what we share. So, again, when we look at it, the purpose of the STAR method is to have a structured manner in sharing your story so it's easy for any one of us that are interviewing to follow along and for us to be able to make notes and then follow through, you know, have some follow-up questions just to get more clarity or to even validate what you're sharing. Okay. So if you're prepared properly, you'll be able to do it. And I'll share what I did when I was interviewing here. So STAR: situation, task, action, and result. So the situation, again, describe the situation that you were in or the tasks that need to accomplish. Give enough detail for the interviewer to understand the complexities of the situation. The example can be from a previous job, school project, volunteer activity, or any relevant event. I specifically, um, talk about sharing something that's more relevant to what you are doing today. So let's see. Let me quickly see what Isaiah had asked. TechU is something I really would love a high level overview on sometime. I have read all that is public to me, but I love to know when they start applications for it. You know what, Isaiah, I will follow up. I'll follow up with the folks at TechU and get that answer for you and try to get it out directly and share it in the next episode because that's a great question, especially for people like yourself that are looking to transition into the tech space. So I will do that for anyone else that is interested in learning more about TechU. I'll throw it in the chat in a second. Actually, let me quickly look it up for you. TechU AWS. So here you go. Let me throw this up into the chat. Okay, it gives you a little bit more high level as to who they are and what they do. But TechU is a program, you know, it's paid on job training as a full-time employee. Let me actually share that. Take this off. Share screen. And let's go here. Just so everyone can follow along. Here we go. So go farther and faster with AWS TechU. It's, again, an accelerated workforce development program that empowers people to establish and hone the technical and professional skills needed to thrive at AWS. So this is like the link, you know. One of the things that I suggest everyone do is actually to join the talent network. Now that actually is great because, and I'll put the link to it directly in the chat also. This allows us to take a, you know, collect folks like yourself. We don't spam people unnecessary information. We don't share any of your information. But this is great for someone that is, you know, at both the early career talent level as well as experience level. So when we talk about early career, what does that mean? That means you're still in school. That means maybe you still have, like, you're only out of the job, maybe you only had internships. This means that maybe you're out of the job for, like, you know, you're on the job maybe 1 or 2 years or 3 years out of school, but still in a very junior capacity. So I would join the early career talent network. And then the experience level, you know, we talk about the bar at Amazon. What people don't understand and they underestimate is the bar. When we talk about it, is the level of talent that we have here. Someone that's junior here is probably someone senior at another organization, you know, or a mid-level at another organization, depending on how large of an organization they are, depending on, you know, the type of services that they offer, the complexities of the services, and what they actually do. And this is where a lot of people don't understand this. So, you know, when you look at, do you need a Neuralink? No, I don't think so. And I personally will never use a Neuralink. So that's funny. Ron Setlin. So with that, what I suggest is if you're still in school, or if you just have a few years under your belt, or if it's just internship, you go with early career talent, and then for the more experienced talent, this is someone that's been, on the job, probably someone senior, mid-level to senior at a larger organization, and they go from there. And you could actually like figure out like what you want to do. So let's take a look here. So sign up to your LinkedIn, and start the form here. It's pretty simple. Let's go back. So that's that. So again, specifically TechU, I will get the information to you. It'll give you more information on but the site itself will give you core curriculum, technical training, pro skills, putting it all together. But as far as when it starts again, I'll find out. Okay. Does 20 years ex Microsoft help? Depends on what you did. So obviously, so when it comes to 20 years ex at Microsoft, so this is a great question. I'll tell you. Let's add some color to this question. Depends on what you did. So it depends on what you did at Microsoft and what you're applying to. So if you were a career salesperson at Microsoft, that doesn't mean that you are purely you're going to be an expert on the technical capacity. Someone that's actually building the technology. Someone that dives deep into a customer's infrastructure and the current architecture and ripping it apart, reverse engineering it, and designing a solution for that. So it all depends on what you're actually doing at Microsoft. That's where people don't understand, and I love to give clarity on this. Give you an example. I had someone that's been an individual contributor. They never managed anyone, and they're actually someone senior at another organization. They said, I'm very happy where I am, but the only job I'll leave for is for a management role at your company or any other company. Well, it will have to be at another company. The reason why is because we hire people based on raising the bar at what they currently do. So if you're, say, an individual solutions architect, we will look at you for a solutions architect role because you never had any management experience. For you to be a manager here, you have to have been a manager. Our interview process even asks specific questions only for managers. And then based on the data is whether you're raising the bar as a manager to say, this is someone that we can trust to lead a team of high performers. Most people that are here, regardless of their level, they're high performers at that level. So we would need that. So again, does 20 years ex Microsoft help? If you want to give more clarity, or if you want to ping me, if you want to ping me on LinkedIn confidentially, please do so. I'll write that. I'll give you my LinkedIn right now. So linkedin.com/n/Ray Thomas. So there you go. Connect with me, follow me, and definitely would love to see your background and give any insight I can. Okay. So going back to this, Isaiah, I definitely will come back and share with you. When they're restarting it up. It's a great question. Okay. Let's see. The other thing, let's go back to the slide. Unless anyone has any other questions, please feel free. This is awesome. I love these type of questions, and this is the type of stuff that most people don't know the answer to, and this is why now they kind of understand why they fall into a black hole versus not, and why they get a response to certain things and why they don't get a response for others. Okay. So let me stop the screen there and go back to this. So going back to the situation, high level should be 1 to 2 minutes. Hey, I worked at an e-commerce company, and when we're looking at when people are at the checkout line, we're noticing that there's a lag in when they're trying to check out. Sometimes there's a delay. It should be X milliseconds to process once they hit buy now. Versus the spinning wheel that we're getting that sometimes leads to people closing out the screen and actually leaving the shopping cart, unfinishing the purchase, which is causing our organization to lose, 15% of revenue or losing X millions of dollars. Okay, that's a situation. Then you talk about so what were the tasks? Figure out what's causing that, optimize it so it's a much better process. The checkout is seamless. It's very quick. The transaction happens immediately. So you don't lose revenue because of the lag time, etc. Right? So now what's the action? The actions that you took. Well, what did you do? So let's take a look at everything related to the technology and the shopping cart, right? So what is it? Is it a database issue? Is it anything else connecting? Is it some kind of API issue? Whatever it is, right? You say I went and I dug into this X Y Z. We realized that this is how something was set up. This is what's causing the delay, etc. Once we made these changes, we were able to see that the checkout process was much smoother. It went from X amount of time. It went from processing. It went from processing at 10 milliseconds to 1 millisecond, which is huge, right? So again, all these little things are so incredibly important. So this is perfect timing. Let's see. I have a phone review tomorrow morning, and we'll use the STAR method to prepare for the hiring manager. Absolutely, Isaiah. Now's the time to ask any questions around the STAR method, okay? And then the results. The results should kind of be the opposite of what the initial problem statement was. It was taking long to do this, causing us a lot of money. And then the results were, it's no longer taking as long, and we're not losing as much money. And here's the difference. So the data on top matters, and everything in the middle matters, okay? So the thing that you want to do is, one of the key things is, do not, when you're sharing your example, don't put anyone, especially your colleague or someone, in a bad light. Yeah, sometimes people, maybe it's a lack of knowledge on their end, and they did the best that they could. Maybe that's all the resources the company had initially, right? So I wouldn't put blame on anyone, because that becomes an earned trust issue. We're all human. We all make mistakes, or we all do the best that we can, right? But you don't want to put anyone or anything in a negative light. That's number one. That's a very key thing that I always talk about. Never share any confidential information. So in your situation, right, you don't have to give out the customer name if you were talking about a customer. You don't have to give out specific bank's name. Say, hey, it was a Fortune 100 bank or a Fortune 50 bank, right? Maybe that's what you want to say, and things of that nature. You don't want to give any specific numbers unless it's a public use case that you're referencing and you're actually the person behind it. So the only time you want to share very specific data is if it's public knowledge and nothing that is breaking confidentiality with your current organization or previous organization. So that's another key thing. So the STAR method is what is going to help you get through this. So when you look at this, 1 to 2 minutes on the situation. So what was the task at hand? Like in what I just shared, to deep dive and take a look at our systems and see what's causing the blockage, see where the lag is. Okay. And then the actions, everything that you took. This is the part, like for the essays, some of the questions that we will ask is like, well, what were the trade-offs? What were your options? Why did you choose this over that? These are the type of things that we would naturally ask to understand your level of your level of expertise, right? To see whether what you don't know, and whether you chose the best option given whatever you had available at the time. Sometimes some people are tied to a license, and it costs too much money, and they can't go and invest in something else, so therefore they had to use that specific thing, right? Sometimes it's sometimes they just did what they did because that's all they know, and that's not a good thing. But if they were able to say, hey, here's the 3 options, here's what we needed to solve, we only had X amount of time to do it, and here's the pros and cons of each, and then based on this is why I went this route. Tying that whole story and your thought process is what matters to us. Do you at least think correctly? Do you at least use the correct thought process to get from beginning to end to deliver for the customer? Did your thinking deliver on time? Did it deliver on budget? Etc. So all these things matter, and that's what we think about. So what I did was, when I was putting together my stories, and this is critical, and it's actually someone else noted it here, I wrote it out verbatim. Phonetically, the way I speak. I don't speak like what ChatGPT spills out. So I wrote it exactly how I would articulate it because of how I speak. Now, I then recorded myself. I recorded myself and I heard myself. And I was like, I could do this better. This is like too verbose, or this is actually really good. If I were listening to this as the interviewer, I might dig into this because they might want to validate this part. So I put a little branch and I put if asked X, here's Y data. So that is what actually helped me in my interview process and helped countless others that I shared. So, Isaiah, how many stories should we have prepared? And should we have a couple about the times things didn't go as planned, but create a great learning opportunity? Absolutely. Absolutely. Fantastic question. Okay. When it's a phone interview, when it's a phone interview, I would only look at, when it comes to the leadership principles, have one for each, just because again, it's not the full panel interview where you have 4 to 5 1 hour blocks where each of them are given multiple leadership principles, but you don't know which one may be asked of you unless the recruiter had said, hey, try to have stories around X, then kind of use that as a guideline. Okay. So for tomorrow, if you don't know what's going to be asked of you, have one for each, but kind of take what I mentioned as far as, you know, provide the, if they ask about a time where things didn't go well, I would actually share something that's not too recent. Okay, I don't think that's something positive, but if it's something that reshaped your thought going on, it was a big learning. Something that was a big learning moment for you that changed who you've been for like the past 5, 10 years. That's the story you want to share. Okay, so that's really what something that I would do. You're totally allowed to share it. Being vocally self-critical, is actually something we look for. That's how we earn trust. People say, "Hey, I screwed up. This was a time I didn't know this. I didn't know this, but I had to do it because of X, Y, Z, and this is where I am at this point." So with that, I think totally open to share a learning opportunity, but I wouldn't do something that was yesterday. You haven't had time to really, implement what you learned. So that's really what my thought is on that. Question from Mike Adam 123: Is there a standard name type of interview that AWS Amazon prefers? So not sure what you mean, but if you're talking about our behavioral interviews, where we ask people on the leadership principles, that's what we actually do. Okay, so again, the Amazon leadership principles, that is your North Star to having that's your North Star to having a positive outcome. Okay, lifting interview. No, haven't, don't know what that is. Never heard of lifting interview. So I don't. So primarily with us at AWS, there's two sides to an interview: the functional aspect and then the behavioral aspect. So normally what we tell the team is, when it's a peer that's interviewing, like a potential peer, make believe I'm talking to someone that is interviewing for a software development engineer type role. Okay, this is where the peers will have like stuff like logical maintainable code, things of that nature. So more primarily focusing on coding, and they will actually do live coding together. And then one of the leadership principle style questions, one of the LPs that may be picked is something that is part of their day to day as an SDE. Diving deep or invent and simplify, etc. So those are the type of things that we look at. So there's two parts to it. Again, you have the functional part of the interview, and then you have the behavioral part of the interview. Okay. Good question. If you could clarify lifting interview, I mean, I'll actually look up interview as we're talking, but if you could give more clarity on what that is, happy to respond to that. So here we go. So again, the other thing why we do the star format is because it stops you from going on tangents. We want to be able to have it in a way where you can have that two-way conversation and you're not going all over the place. you're able to provide the answer that they're looking for because they have a limited time to interview you, and they have a set amount of data that they need to collect. So if you follow it and you follow their prompts, it's going to help you. It's going to help you a lot. Okay, so that's one key thing. I'm actually going to pull up something else here. There's another doc that I had. So one key thing, regardless of what type of role that you are going for, but especially if it's technical, ask for clarifying questions first. That itself is part of the test. Sometimes, sometimes they're, depending on your skill level, or they might ask you, they might give you something vague where there's no way for you to solve it unless you're asking clarifying questions. Okay, so make sure you get the clarity. And if something is not worded right, or in a way that you process, I have ADHD. I process things differently than other people. I process things more clearly when it's visual to me versus something that's just verbal. Okay, so again, we are very receptive to different learning styles. So if the question asked of you does not compute in your head a certain way, ask them to clarify. Okay, so that's one of the key things. I don't know who Tad Murphy is. Okay, I'll take a look at that in a little bit. So with that, make sure you ask the clarifying questions. It's super, super, super important. Ask them to rephrase it. Let me see what else I have, because I want to give out anything I can. There's, when it comes to the qualified questions, that's number one. When it comes to like SDEs that are interviewing, you want to make sure that you create an optimal solution. But if you brute force pseudocode a solution, make sure you work to optimize it. Brush up on algorithms and data structures. Cover all your edge cases, quarter cases, and these are the type of things that we'll have actually listed out, and we'll actually share with some of the candidates. So let me take a quick look on my side who this person is. LinkedIn.com/in/. Is it Tad Murphy? Let's see who that is. Principal Product Manager, Focus Leader, Strategic. Okay. Principal Program Manager. Yeah, great background. So London, Canada. You're currently in Canada. So is this you? Is this someone that you're trying to refer, Ron? Ron Stilton? Let me know. And I'll definitely follow up. But again, if anyone is interested in a certain type of roles, go to Amazon.jobs. Amazon.jobs is where you want to be. This is the other thing. Let's take a look. I'm going to share the screen too. Let's go to share screen. Entire screen, and boom. So here's another thing where a lot of people don't understand. And it's no fault of their own, because we're a much larger organization than most. But most people think I found a recruiter at Amazon, therefore they know every role out there. It's impossible. There are times when there's tens of thousands or over 100,000 jobs at times, back when I was starting in 2019. So again, it's all global. And what happens is the recruiters, we are all SMEs. We have our own swim lanes. Some of us are focused on very specific teams that we were supporting. Like up until recently, I was supporting primarily just solution architects and within the public sector space. As of April, I'm supporting SDE recruiting. So I'm recruiting for software development engineers, right? And for like our WAF team, our web application firewall team. Now I'm supporting a network development engineering team. So again, now I'm only familiar with the SDE openings. Doesn't mean that you can't reach out and ask for guidelines and whatnot. But if you're asking me about specifics about a specific role, I don't know it. I'm not the right person, or I'm not the right person. But this is how you should go about applying. So let's take a look. Let me see what I can find here. Let me put in solutions architect, for example, and I'll share like how to kind of read the job description, because this is interesting. So let's see this one. I'll just pick this one. Solutions architect. Okay, and this one, initially you're going to have the job description, etc. So sales, marketing, global service, SMGS. So this is the organization that it'll be a part of. They talk about why AWS, etc. And then when you look at the basic qualifications, 2 years of design, implementation, or consulting in applications and infrastructure experience, 4 years of specific technology domain areas, software development, cloud computing, systems engineering, infrastructure, security, etc. So when you look at this, if it says 2 years of this, doesn't mean that's it. I see the number 2. Let me just apply. No, you got to look at the rest. So 4 years of working in these domains. So that most likely means you've been working, out of school. You're actually professionally working, not internships, but actually working full time. 4 years within these domains, and then 2 years of designing and implementing or consulting an application. So you don't initially design right out of school. A lot of times when it comes to architecture, you're not an architect right out of school. A lot of times you're some kind of technical person. You need to be for a solutions architect here, because our essays are technical. You probably start off maybe as a web developer, or a systems engineer or a network engineer, but anything that's like hands-on technical, and then moved up and into some kind of design capacity and architecture. So this is a more junior level role. Let me actually see what the difference. Let me actually put this senior. See what we have here, if there's anything. Okay, senior. So this is in Tel Aviv. This is in Santa Monica. So let's talk about this. Let's do this. Let's dive into this. So again, description tells you a little bit about AWS, etc. Kind of high level what the function of the role is, creation, sharing best practices, technical content, new reference architecture. We're going to talk about this. This is so key. Role will travel. So then when we go into the basic qualifications, the basic qualifications section is key. Mike Adam, great question. Give me a minute to get back to that. So when you look at the basic qualifications, right, it says 8 year specific technology domain, experience. So that means minimum you've been in tech in a hands-on capacity, for 8 years at least. And then 3 years of design, implementation, consulting, application. That means most likely the more currently last 3 years, you've been designing as an architect design solutions, right? So again, you don't start off as an architect, as a designer, designing solutions right out of school. So you got to think of it that way, okay? So don't say I have 3 years experience, that's it, I'm going to apply for a senior role. Doesn't work. It doesn't work that way. When we talk about the preferred qualifications, right? We talk about the preferred qualifications. This kind of tells you what the real what we're really looking for as far as the type of solutions architect. It tells you the difference between a generalist versus some kind of a specialist. Okay, so obviously architecting on Linux, Unix-based Windows, load balancing, high availability, disaster recovery and storage architectures, architecting operations solutions. So this actually is someone that is kind of more of a generalist, but they definitely need to understand these key things: storage architectures, high availability, disaster recovery, basically depending on the type of customers that you'll be going to. Sometimes in the preferred qualifications, I see things around genomics. I worked in the genomics industry. So this is someone that not only they're technical architect, but they actually have worked in the genomic space. They studied They studied it in school, maybe, perhaps, did a lot of studies, actually maybe worked for a genetics company. So that's kind of where you now say, all right, this type of architect fits me. Not only have I been working for more than 8 years, but the last few years I've been a designer, I've been architecting solutions, I've already been architecting solutions, and here's some of my strengths. So this is where I would actually go and try to apply for that role. Um, let's see. So quick reference. So Mike, you were saying lifting interview show. Let's see. What is an elevator pitch? An elevator pitch allows you, yes, to understand elevator pitch. Okay. Executives you want to talk to, you only have 30 to 60 seconds to share information. So no, we kind of don't do that. You should naturally, during the introductions, it's not like an organization where your elevator pitch will make us say yes or no to you. There are all these type of studies saying there are all these type of studies saying that, hey, you got 30 to 60 seconds to impress somebody at an interview, and they already made a decision on you based on that. If you're at a final interview, that's not the case. We already talked to you. We already looked at your resume. We did some kind of evaluations prior to the final interview, whether they were online assessments, there were another phone screen with another person, etc. When it comes to the final interview, right? And now you're going to talk to 4 to 5 sets of people. You are going to introduce yourself, right? You got to say, hey, excited to be here. I'm excited about this role because I've been working on this for 10 years, and what you're looking for is exactly what I excel in, etc. So happy to talk to you. That's it. We already know your resume. We already know why you're here. We already looked at the other data. So you don't need to do that, for us at least. That may apply for other organizations. It is great to be able to introduce yourself, though. There was someone that there was actually a video that I saw not that long ago, Mike, where they said everyone's in a room, said everyone introduce yourself. Someone said, hi, my name is Ray Thomas. I've been a recruiter for 25 years. I've been in tech. I started in blah, 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 da, da, da. And then the next person did that. Then the next person did that. The one that really stood out was, hi, my name is Ray Thomas. My superpowers are building long-lasting relationships and being able to dive deep to see what's broken. That's it. So something like that, like, oh, that's really interesting. Let's dig into that, right? So again, you can introduce yourself any which way you want, but be able to tell a story. That's going to be really, really key. This is only a type that came to mind. There are lots of others name type. Yes, I agree, Mike. Yes, I understand what you meant before. But yeah, let's see. Going back to job descriptions, what percent of qualifications should be meant to apply? Some say 60, 75. Some say 100%. Thoughts? Yeah. So great question. So when it comes to basic, 100%, you got to meet it. So in this case, right? This one says bachelor's degree in computer science, engineering, mathematics, or equivalent. So this means you must have a bachelor's degree, for example, right? Where others say bachelor's degree or relevant experience. So the other one would mean you either have a bachelor's or you don't have one, but you've been in the tech industry or in this type of industry. So here you need to meet the basic qualifications 100%. The preferred qualifications, because this is the meat of most of it, you need to meet it 75% plus. Okay. If anyone says it's 100%, then that's just a team that's really, really tough, and they only list what they absolutely need. But the recruiter should help, But I would give myself a shot if you're 75% more. There's a study talking about, when we looked at the qualifications and why there's a separation of basic qualifications versus preferred. Study between what percent women need. Like they say, hey, I need to meet like 9 out of 10 for me to apply. Where men will apply if they meet 20% or 30% of the job description. And they're like, I'm shooting my shot. So because of that, and we wanted to help increase, make it more comfortable for diverse talent to apply, is the basic qualifications. You need to meet these 3. The preferred is what the role would really entail. What kind of real expertise we need. So that's where I would say 75% plus on average. Okay, Isaiah. Fantastic, fantastic question there. Okay. Keep the questions coming. Keep the questions coming, because I think these are the type of questions that so many people ask. I have had times where I met 100% of the preferred and 75% of the basic, and it was confusing. So, so yeah, 100% of the preferred, but 75% of the basic. That can happen, and it's sometimes because of, the lack of quantification. So again, from a legal perspective, we need to be able to quantify the basic qualifications, when it comes to years of experience on certain things. Obviously, you can't quantify bachelor's degree unless I need one bachelor or two bachelor's degrees. No one's going to do that, right? So, so the basic qualification, this is what's going to knock you in, filter you in or out for the second part, which is the preferred qualifications. Okay, so so sometimes, again, you've been in this, but you haven't been doing it for this amount of years, if that makes sense. So here you go. This is great. So you go. I have a referral, but I don't know if I want to use it until I find a job posting that really aligns with me. Some of the job descriptions are pretty vague, though. Again, great call out. It's purposely vague, and it's because we need to standardize certain things. Like what we want it to be a fair process for everybody. So whatever we can standardize, we're going to standardize. And a lot of times, so many of the job description, like say all the solutions architects job description, they all sound the same. So if it's a generalist, everything in the body, right? Everything in the body is most of what's in the description is going to sound the same, except for maybe the type of team. Maybe up here in the description they'll say SMGS, like we saw in the previous one, right? So you're going to have that. And then you're going to even see the basic qualifications and preferred qualifications. If it's identical and it looks very generic, it probably is a generic solutions architect role functionally. Okay. Again, this is where you then dive into the preferred qualification and see if it comes out to what you're looking for. So, Kritziko, if you see something that is relevant to you, so say make believe security is something that's what you're looking for, put that in the keywords when you're actually, looking at jobs, so put maybe security solutions architect as an example, right? See if something pops up. There you go. Senior security solutions architect, AWS Industries, posted 5 days ago, but for London. So what is this? Again, it's within the SMGS org. It is a solutions architect role. It'll actually tell you the type of customers that they have when it comes to industries, because that's different than a generalist, right? And then, the key responsibilities, like what your day-to-day function will be. And now let's look at this bachelor's degree experience for specific technology domains, etc. Preferred knowledge, cloud architecture, infrastructure, databases, development. But in here, when they're writing specifically something in the key responsibilities, right, and also the title security, when we look at the infrastructure stack, right, you have security, application development, databases, compute, storage, etc. So we look at the full infrastructure, right? A security solutions architect is probably what they're looking for, that says, I need to be, my strengths have to be in security. So going back to the early part of your career, maybe you were someone that started getting into security, started becoming a pen tester or whatnot, right? Or maybe even writing code to deal with DDoS, right? So with that, you then also became like an architect. So not only were you really deep in the security aspect of it, but also can design solutions where security is top of mind. You are the type of solutions architect that would be called on to customers where the customer has a need specifically for someone that goes much deeper in security. Like security is their biggest concern. Maybe that's the blocker as to what's preventing them from migrating to the cloud. And this is where you could come in and talk to them about the security components, dive deep into it, while also being able to talk about the full infrastructure. Okay. So there you go. So thanks, I appreciate it. I'm looking to get into containers EKS team. Great. So type in containers, So again, containers. Okay. So GTM special containers. So senior specialist SA containers. See what's available. Type in the word directly. All right. So hope that helps. And last question before we got to jump is after CV enters AWS, is it purged after some time? During this time, will AWS go back CVs or consider only those that match current job descriptions? So we don't purge it. It's there until you ask us to purge it directly, So if you put your profile, if you know your resume is in our system, you could always reach out and say, take me off. And we will it either gets purged or it actually says do not contact. So there's actually other things within the application process where you can actually opt in or out of something, okay, in the future. So it's there. So what happens is sometimes, let me stop sharing the screen and talk to you directly. When you apply to a specific role, if you're a fit, we'll reach out. If you are a fit, but too late, because we already have multiple people late stage in the process, you're going to be considered for other roles in the future. You're going to be there. What we do is, even though we post a position out there, we're going to first look and see who applied, who's already interested in AWS, who already is here that we haven't talked to, or we talked to and had great notes, but maybe we didn't have, timing was wrong, right? So all these things really matter to us. And so you'll be in there. Okay. So we look forward to connecting, if not now, in the future. So let me finalize it with this. Again, I don't know if you're watching on AWS Careers, but if you are, make sure you like and subscribe. If you're watching on Twitch, make sure you're actually, if you're following us through Twitch, twitch.tv/AWS, make sure you follow us. There's a lot of great content there. And for engineering manager positions, how about how important is the coding interview score during the process? Absolutely important. Why would other developers want someone that doesn't know how to code it like they do, to be their manager? That's really it, right? So you have to be not an incredible coder like everyone else, but also have the experience already leading a team of high performance engineers, right, etc. So again, if it's a software development manager type role, therefore you must have that. If it's a solutions architect manager, you need to be as technical as a solutions architect. So there you go. So we're out of time. Thank you all for the fantastic questions. If you like this, reach out, ping us, and we'll definitely make more content. And we'll make more content. But again, be sure to follow Becoming Awesome. Take care, everyone. Thanks again for all for everything. Take care.